So today what we're going to be talking about is something I worked on for the past few months, and it's all the design, print stuff that had to do with my wedding. I got married a couple weeks ago, and so today's vlog is just going to be kind of talking about all the stuff that went on that I worked on for the wedding, and then also kind of discussing the branding or the visual identity of how we wanted things for the wedding to look. So I think the first thing we completed 100% was this wedding invitation, and I worked on this pretty closely with my fiance, now wife. We knew we wanted kind of a script or a cursive typeface in the middle here for our names, and a serif, like more formal typeface for the text. And so I was showing her different typefaces. I had some ideas, and what we ended up settling on was cast line for the text, and then using small caps and large caps, so not really using lowercase letters but making them all capitals. I thought that was a little more formal, and then every once in a while for like important stuff using the big capitals, or I guess the regular capitals, and then the rest of the text was in small caps. So that's what we did. So, you know, for people's names, we capitalized them still. The date capitalized, the church, the location, the reception, all capitalized. But then kind of the less important information, I would say, you know, and the reception to follow. Like that, we didn't need to draw as much attention to that. And then for our names, it was, I believe, Bickham script was typeface we used. It was a little more low profile and not as frilly, or it didn't have as like many loops or excessive curls and stuff coming off the ends of the letters. So it was still very elegant, but it wasn't too over the top with the cursive or the script nature of it. So this is kind of what we wanted everything to be based on. In the wedding invitations, with the invitations, we had these little business card size cards where you could go RSVP, so we wanted the wedding invitation to stand on its own. And then, you know, for the information RSVP, we kind of just included it in there so you could have the wedding invitation by itself and not be like cluttered with all this information of here's a website, blah 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 blah. You can see that's just cast line in the small caps. Very simple and neat and elegant is how we wanted to do it. Moving on, the next thing we did was actually, this is more of a Greek tradition thing. There's these candy coated almonds called koufeta, and you can read what the koufeta are. My mom really pioneered this of making these bags of koufeta for guests to take home with them and for them to be at the wedding reception. And so we wanted a little explanation card to go with it. And so what we had here was Greek tradition, cast line, small caps again. Here's the script, our names, the date of the wedding, and then kind of a quote, not really a quote, but just a little saying. It's not a part of the definition, so we put it in script also. And then the challenging part about this was this actually had to be cut out to more of a like an arrow shape. All of this kind of had to flow so it wouldn't get cut off, because it wasn't actually going to be a rectangle in the end. Next thing, wedding programs. A lot of this body copy was taken from wedding programs I did for Eli and Kelly Stevens, one of the priests who did the wedding ceremony for my wedding. This was his son got married a couple years ago, and they had me do wedding programs for them since they're Orthodox and I'm also Orthodox, and we're having an Orthodox wedding service. We kind of just decided, instead of trying to find all this information, we would just kind of take the copy of what they said and put our names, change the style a little bit. So we changed the text to cast line again, and then this, since it was body copy, we did it in upper and lowercase, actual upper and lowercase letters. and then the caps for like the headings, like the different parts of the service. So really these are just headings of different parts of the service, things that go on in the Orthodox marriage ceremony. And this is the interior of the wedding program. As you can see on the front, we've got Sacrament of Marriage, big and little caps again, Bickham script again, all the stuff that was kind of on the wedding invitation. You can see it's presented in a similar style here. Like we did for the interior, we had the headings and the smaller caps, and then people's names and body copy. So there was all the priests that were involved. There was a bunch of them. Parents of the bride and the groom, grandparents, the Kumbadi, which is the wedding sponsors in Orthodox church service, and then best man, maid of honor, grooms and bridesmaids, all that good stuff. So originally, this was the photo for the church that I did a couple years ago, and this is a photo of the church in Birmingham. So obviously getting married at the church in Mobile, we couldn't use that. And so what I went and did was overlaid this photo of the church in Mobile over the top and kind of positioned it where I wanted to. Got rid of the background again, went in, got close to it, and then started laying down some lines over the top, just light and sketchy. Just a general shape of the building, a little bit of shading, but not too much, as you can see. And then for these trees down here, I want to do them also. But then for the leafy part of the trees and for the bushes, I had to get a different brush in Photoshop, and it was more of a charcoal or pattern brush, and got in and did that kind of light, and actually lowered the opacity to 55%, so it wasn't too dominant. As you can see, if it was fully darkened, it'd be way too dominant in the image, so lined it up to 55%. Made it a PNG and threw it back into here. Alright, so the next thing we wanted to do was Madeline's mom actually got us a guest book for the wedding, so we wanted to do a custom cover for it, and so that was another opportunity to kind of bring back the visual style we had established earlier. So this is the spine, Mr. and Mrs. Hall, that's us. Our names, cast on again, Bickham script, is the date, location, and I did a sketch of us, and then Cheers to a Full Life in a Full Glass. The wedding guest book was actually a cocktail book, with a bunch of drinks and recipes and stuff in it. We kind of kept to the bar theme, but just kind of put a wedding cover on it. And this is our pet cat, B, and so we wanted to incorporate her also. So that's the inside flap, this is the cover, and this is the spine. And so let's look at how we did this. So first we did B. I just took this picture of the cat, and this one also is inspiration, and started drawing over the top of it. So there was a lot of trial and error with this, getting these shapes correct. Her eyebrows changed a little bit. We got her collar, her tail, and this is what the final product ended up looking like. Once again, a PNG, and then we threw it flat onto the inside flap of the book. Then the next thing we did was I did a drawing of Madeline and I. This was tougher. We took a photo of us for reference, but obviously we're not wearing the clothes we'd want to be wearing. We're not even holding the glasses. This was just a quick reference shot. So threw some lines over this real quick, kind of the general idea of what we want to look like. I threw in a reference and kind of tried to place it on where Madeline's hand would be in the photo, because she's holding more of just a regular glass in this photo. So superimpose that, and then kind of drew over the top. So we've got this general outline, and then this more fine detailed outline. And then the big thing was adding the hair, and so that was the thing I did last on a separate layer because I wasn't quite sure what we wanted the hairstyles to be, Madeline especially, because her hair was up in the reference obviously. So I did that on a separate layer and consulted with her about how she wanted her hair to look. And then this is it on the finished product. The last thing we worked on was, this is very different in terms of visual identity. It was a things to do in Mobile, like not a postcard, but not a pamphlet either, just like a handout, I guess. We left gift baskets in the guest rooms at the hotel where a lot of the guests were staying. We wanted to make this handout more Mobile inspired than just wedding-y, like we wanted to make it more fun. So we used the blue and green, or very close blues and greens to the logo of the city of Mobile. And then I threw in this purple because I figured it kind of went with Mardi Gras. I think purple's a good combo with green, to be honest. And so we had a list of breakfast places we recommend, lunch and dinner, coffee and dessert, bars, and then just like tourist attractions, I guess. Not really tourist attractions, but things to do that aren't food. This is Eldwin script bold. We ended up not putting in italics up here, obviously. All-round Gothic, and then Azo Sans, AZO. And so those were kind of the three typefaces we used. We kind of played around with, we wanted the script to look like a little bit like handwriting, like, hey, here's a list, and then we kind of scribbled in like our notes about these places like that we like to go. So we have kind of this personal welcome statement that Madeline crafted, and then we made notes about each of these places. So like Spot of Tea is a place where a lot of people like to go, but we like Bob's also. You know, El Papi is Madeline's favorite place to go for lunch or dinner. Then, you know, if you want fresh Gulf seafood, you'd want to go to Wenzel's Oyster House. And we tried to make all these places downtown and in walking distance of the hotel. Like I said earlier, you've got the colors we used, the blue and the green, were kind of taken from the logo of the city of Mobile. I took a map of the city of Mobile, put shapes on it in Illustrator, and then skewed it. And then I wanted it to be like each side would be like an actual map, and so, you know, it could be kind of used to like find your way around. I did the line art first, and so you can see how it lays over the map. And I wrote in these different places and then colored them in. So we've got the streets, the grass, the buildings. I whited out behind the words so they were easier to read. And then, so here you go. That's what it looked like. The problem was when we put the words back over it, it was just too cluttered. And I worked in InDesign a lot and tried to change the gradient of it or change the opacity or something, and just nothing was working at all. So what we ended up doing was taking away the words, the white art, and the line art, and then throwing that behind the words or behind the text, and you ended up with something a little more usable. And so that's how we got to this finished product right here. And so it's not as much of an actual map. There's no real landmarks on it as far as being labeled, but you can see if you actually had a map or something, or had these labeled, this is where all this stuff would be. But I thought it looked cool and fun, and a little more lighthearted and less serious than the other wedding stuff. So that was fun and different. But as far as the main identity of the wedding, cast on, Bickham script, black text on a white background, that's all it was. And mainly large caps except for body copy of the cast on. So boom, boom, Like, you can see how these are all kind of related and how they look, right? And so that was kind of the big thing, was making all this connect and kind of give the wedding like a design identity, so that, you know, when you got your invitation and then you came to the wedding, got a program, it was visually similar. So, you know, you knew you were in the right place, or it didn't look like a different person had done each thing, or I don't know. It's just kind of stuff's important to me. Like, I think it's more professional when the stuff has a similar identity and kind of all flows and looks similar design wise, or at least has similar design elements. So it's like, oh, okay, you know, if for whatever reason you kept the invitation, brought home a program, you'd go, these are the things from the wedding, and like, if you wanted to hold on to them for whatever reason, they would look like they go together. So that's kind of all I wanted to talk about today, kind of what the idea was behind the design of the stuff for my wedding that happened the past couple weeks. And of course, that's where we've been with the vlogs, is just been busy doing wedding stuff, and so hopefully we'll get back on track with this episode, and then just continue to put them out every other week like we have been.